On the 666th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. In Donetsk front, heavy battles are taking place in the Avdiivka and Novomykhailivka sectors. The Russian army continued their offensive operations in Avdiivka and made new attempts to push inside the village of Stepove using small infantry units. From the footage published by Ukrainian sources, it seems that the latest Russian attacks did not go any different than the many previous attempts, as Russian soldiers were not able to establish a foothold inside the central part of the village. A unit of Russian soldiers tried to hide and take shelter in a basement, but they were quickly spotted by reconnaissance units of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, and soon after, a Bradley infantry fighting vehicle arrived in the battlefield and, driving over the Russian positions, demolished the basement, trapping the Russian soldiers inside. It seems that the Russians are facing serious problems on the northern flank, as they have not been able to make any significant gains westward almost 2 months after they broke the first line of the Ukrainian defenses west of Krasnohorivka. In this direction, the Russian army is having a hard time in providing the much needed and necessary armored support for their units on the ground, because Ukrainian drone operators can easily spot and destroy the Russian mechanized units before they cross the railway to support their units in assaulting the Ukrainian positions near Stepove. Even the non-stop waves of infantry forces are also dealt with by the frequent counterattacks of the Ukrainian Bradleys, which are deployed anytime there is a significant build-up of the Russian infantry forces along the line of contact. Seeing the difficult situation, the Russian command is trying to advance northwest instead, bypassing Stepove and widening the front towards the key town of Ocheretine, from where Ukrainians are said to organize most of their counterattacks on the northern flank. In the southern part of Donetsk front, the Russian army continues to attack the Ukrainian village of Novomykhailivka. As confirmed by sources on both sides and the geolocated footage, the Russians were able to make some small advances on the southern and eastern outskirts of the village and subsequently tried to push inside the settlement, but the attacks were repelled by the Ukrainian defenders, who then went on the counterattack, and as reported by the Ukrainian source Deep State, Ukrainian forces were successful in dislodging the Russian forces from the farms south of the village. However, the intensity of the Russian attacks is not expected to drop in the following days, as the Russian army continues to strike the Ukrainian village with heavy artillery fire and FOB air strikes, with the focus being on the eastern side of Novomykhailivka, which is the most fortified part of the entire settlement. In Bakhmut front, battles are taking place northwest and southwest of the city of Bakhmut, as the Russian forces continue their offensive on both directions. On the southern part of the sector, Russian forces attacked the Ukrainian positions near Klishchiivka, and during the past few days they entered and captured the part of the important trench system located on the heights adjacent to the village. The Russian army also tried to advance east of Klishchiivka and deployed mechanized units on the open fields east of the railway, but the Ukrainian defenders were successful in destroying many tanks and armored vehicles, using a combination of artillery and drone strikes to deplete the Russian forces before reaching the line of contact. Nevertheless, the Russian army was able to cross the railway tracks northeast of Klishchiivka using small infantry waves to clear and take positions near the railway embankment. Ukrainian sources published footage showing the 26th Artillery Brigade shelling and destroying a part of the Russian infantry forces on these positions, confirming the slight Russian advance in this area. On the other hand, Ukrainians were able to recover a number of positions near the reservoirs east of Klishchiivka, as geolocated footage published on Russian Telegram channels confirmed that there is a presence of the Ukrainian soldiers in some positions about 700 meters east of the railway. During the past few days, Russians were able to advance several hundred meters northwest of Bakhmut and regained all the ground they lost during Ukraine's summer offensive in this area. Russian forces were able to capture a good part of the fortified heights where the battles are still ongoing. At the same time, Russians attacked and drove the Ukrainian forces out of the dachas and the western outskirts of the city of Bakhmut, and are reportedly trying to keep their momentum and try to reach the nearby village of Ivanivske, which is now less than 1 kilometer away from the Russian army. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and have a great day.